people joining, so let's let everyone get in. This is a busy call. Hello, gorgeous faces. It's so good to see everyone tonight. We've had a couple of weeks break, the first one in 2 years, and so I feel like I'm bereft. I've missed you all. I have a treat for you. I have the amazing, how brave am I, having Suzanne Elise Freeman on a Zoom call on the same day that I've had my booster shot and look like it. I mean, talk about...
So happy for you.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so Suzanne, I might have embarrassed you slightly, but that's nothing new. I embarrass all the guests. But you are so the cool girl. I mean, you're always so glamorous. You're always so friendly, always smiling. You do the public image exceptionally well. And having lived in LA, that is a full-time job in itself, right? And somebody had made a comment when I announced that Suzanne, everyone knows Suzanne from the PJ Auckland's Suzanne Elise Freeman Superstar webcasts. I was warned by Scott not to call them webinars.
Thank you.
Yes,
appreciate
webcasts. And that's where I first heard of Suzanne. But the thing is she's just one of those people that you just think, wow, she must lead the most glamorous life. And you know that that's not true. You know, our online personas are just our online personas. So then I arranged the call with Suzanne, and one of the first comments was, we don't know a lot about her. And I realized, no, we don't. We just hear Suzanne, the presenter, Suzanne, you know, the successful narrator. So in getting ready for this call, I looked up your narrating.
Okay.
And I mean, okay, I'm not going to say that I don't hate you for appearing as glamorous as you are and actually having amazing talent, but wow. And I want to hear the background. I want to hear, because I love, and this time of year, I love your website and the comfy, cozy,
oh gosh,
American feel, but it feels like all the good stuff I remember about America at once. So please, Suzanne, could you let us know a little bit about you, about
Sure.
where you come from growing up and how you ended up doing what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I took a long circuitous route that I felt like as soon as I realized that I wanted to start narrating and I realized I could do it full time, I just hit myself over the head thinking, how did it take me this long? It feels like my entire life has been leading to me being an audiobook narrator.
When did you start narrating?
I started narrating in 2015.
Okay.
I didn't know a single person who was a narrator. I was listening to a lot of audiobooks, and it's a story I've told a lot of times, and I'm not going to say the name of the narrator or the book because obviously it would be mean, but I was listening to a lot of really great narrators, and I listened to a very big book that was very successful, and I was very surprised at how much I didn't like the narration, and I kept saying to myself out loud, I could do better than this. and I was like, you know, I'm gonna keep going because it might get better. But I found myself saying it out loud at least 10 times. And I was like, I could do better than this. And I finally was just like, oh, wait, I could. And then I started researching, and you know, like I said, I didn't know a single person who did it. It took me probably 6 months until I went to my first social that was held by Vikas Adam and Andy Arndt in LA, here in West LA at the Wellsborn. And it happened to be a day that everybody was in town because Bob Dion, there was a luncheon that day. I can't remember exactly what it was for, but it was just after he died. And so people were in town from all over the country. So I didn't realize that I was kind of going to the one thing that everybody went to. So I met all sorts of people that night. Anyway, so that was my kind of entree into the community, which is of course amazing. But if you want me to go back.
Yeah, I want to go way back. I want Suzanne in her pajamas watching cartoons at 7 years old and what big dreams she had back. That's how far back I want to go.
Okay, well, you know what? I could talk about things like that forever, so you're going to have to cut me off. But
I know we'll progress. We'll be fine. Give us the good stuff.
When you just said something about me watching cartoons, I remember thinking when I was little, I'm never going to stop liking cartoons. I'm never going to stop watching cartoons. I still enjoy animated movies, but cartoons, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But were you precocious as a child? Who were you as a child? Were you a bookworm? Were you?
I was the youngest of 3 children. I was a surprise baby. My mom always thinks that I mean that they didn't want me, and she's like, "We want you," and I'm like, "Oh no, I know you wanted me. I was completely spoiled." So I have 2 older brothers, and so I just wanted to be them. I wanted to be liked by them and their friends and hang out with them. And I will never know, because you don't know how much that influenced me in terms of what I enjoyed. But I was a tomboy, and I loved everything Star Wars, which, by the way, I was just at Comic-Con. I got this a couple of days ago. It's the symbol of the Jedi.
Is it like that show? Have you seen that show, Paul, where they go to like the Comic-Con thing?
I haven't seen it.
They meet an alien and they go to the Comic-Con, and is everyone wearing outfits and costumes and like?
Many people are, not everybody, but there are plenty of people who are dressed up. This one was a much smaller Comic-Con because it was Comic-Con special edition, because usually Comic-Con is in July, but they decided to do an in-person one at this time. So it was Black Friday plus Comic-Con, and you can't help but spend a ton of money at Comic-Con. So not a good combination. But so it was actually really small, which was a relief, because, not to be crowded in with a bunch of people, because it feels rather claustrophobic. This is only my 2nd time. But it was a nice change from last time. Anyway, so I loved sports. I loved watching sports. I loved playing sports. I loved Star Wars. I loved all things sci-fi.
Did your brothers like sci-fi too?
Well, I mean, they liked Star Wars. I don't know about my oldest brother, but my next oldest brother, my middle brother, and I just remember summers spent in the basement, because I'm from Minnesota, it is hot as hell in the middle of summer. It is so icky and sticky and humid and hot, and people were always surprised because they think Minnesota is cold, but it's not. In the winter it is, but not in the summer. And we would be in the basement because it was cool down there, and we were the first people that I knew of to have a VCR, and my dad somehow got a pirated copy of Star Wars, and that's all we watched for summer, like all day. I remember watching it 3 times a day, all day for an entire summer.
How old were you?
Oh gosh, I went to Star Wars in the theater, so this was several years after. So I was probably like 10, 11.
That's a perfect
like
age. That's a perfect age to
and
watch
we had
it.
all the action figures, and we had the Millennium Falcon, the original Millennium Falcon, new one, like that was a reissue on sale at Comic-Con for $600. We have an original one.
So if someone asked you then what you were going to be when you grew up, what would you say?
Well, that's the funny thing, because I was a tomboy, but I was also a girly girl. Because in my high school, we had a thing called, so I'm from Northfield, Minnesota. I went to Northfield High School, and we had the Northfield Highliners, and they were a precision high kick dance team. All I wanted from the time I was 2, because that's the first time my dad took me to a performance at halftime of the basketball game. All I wanted was to be a highliner. That's literally all I wanted in the world, was to be a highliner. Back when I prayed, I'm an atheist now, but back when I prayed, I feel like it was like I feel like it was meditation more than anything, because everything, I wish I could still sort of pray, and do the kind of like self-actualization, the what is it? The
visualization.
Thank you. Yes.
I have a thought.
I feel like that was what it was. Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off and take you off the subject, but I have a thought that's just struck me about you. Do you find that every single thing that you've done, it looks like you've led, like you have these experiences and you have very strong emotion. And when you love something, that's it. You love it fiercely and you love it forever. And that's it. I love that, because that's an artist. But
I'm glad.
It's listening to the voice in your head and following it.
Yeah.
So your father, so were you like practicing, what is it, the high kickers?
It's highliners. Yeah.
Highliners.
Yeah. It was, I started taking dance classes when I was 5, just so I could be a highliner. I
Were they
started
like cheerleaders?
No, no.
Oh, sorry.
Just like, don't call it a webinar. Don't call it cheerleading. No. This was all like performance. It was all dance performance. So it was no like pom-poms. There was no cheers.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it was only our main aim in life was to compete and to compete at the state level. Our kind of halftime performances were practice.
Okay.
So, so yes, so no, it's fine. I get that it does exist elsewhere in the country, but it's also a very peculiar Minnesota thing because it sort of got inbred in Minnesota and developed its own style. So I don't blame anybody for not really understanding it. But yeah, so that's all I wanted in my whole life. So I tried out my 9th grade year because we had just integrated from middle school into high school. So I tried out right before my 9th grade year. This is so, honestly, I could talk for hours just about this.
I bet that was nerve-wracking right before those tryouts.
It was, but the funny thing was, we had just gotten, I think, 2nd place at state the year before, the team that I hadn't been on. And so there were only over 200 girls in a school of 800 people. There were over 200 girls who tried out the year that I tried out my freshman year. We had to have prelims and finals for the tryouts. I didn't make it. Now, that was a shock to literally everyone that I knew. My mom is the coolest mom. I called her, I mean, like even the coach, because I was friends with the coach. I helped at her wedding, the coach of the Highlanders. So she was shocked. She immediately came over to me and put her arm around me, and I'm just like walking around just in absolute daze.
Do they give feedback or anything, or?
I just, my body was very immature. Anyway, we're going to fast forward to the point where I ended up on Highliners. I was the head choreographer my senior year. We won 3 state championships. So all ends well. But my mom was the coolest mom. I called her at work. She immediately came home from like half hour away. She said, pack your bags, we're going to California that day. Because she's like, she knew that I needed to get out of there. And I mean, that is the coolest thing my mom has ever done. It was so needed. And we flew to LA to see her best friend that night. Anyway, so the Highlanders, yes. So I
just for a vacation. Your mother just flew you off there. Are you? That's
both of us. Yeah,
that's actually quite cool.
It is very. That's
cool. Actually very cool.
Her best friend didn't even pick up the phone when she called her. She just left a message and said, "We're coming." It was so cool. And my mom's not like that. She's not that kind of super last minute like spontaneous person.
But she had to have seen all the years that you'd put into it, and all the hope and work. And
but I ended up getting on. Another long story, but I ended up getting on. I was actually ended up went and danced at state my freshman year, even though I didn't make it that year. So it was controversial, which I didn't realize at the time. But go on.
So one other thought, actually. Okay, now 2 other thoughts. You can't use the word controversial, and let me skip over that. What can you pinpoint? Because no matter what happened with the facts or the situation, there had to be a moment where your mindset changed from I didn't make it to I'm going to make it. Mm-hmm. Do you remember what that voice in your head was saying? Or do you remember what you did to rally? Or were you just like, I'm not giving up?
Well, I was definitely, I'm not giving up. But my dad also incredibly cool dad. He was an actor, which led to my interest in acting. But he came home, and I was, bawling my head off. And he told me a story about him and the same high school basketball team. And he didn't get on varsity his first tryout. And he went to the Carleton. We have 2 colleges in my hometown. Went to the Carleton gym and started doing practice shots for hours every single day to make sure that he got good enough.
I love your parents. Make it the next.
Yeah, they're really good. And so he said, you can't give up. This isn't it. You just have to try harder. You have to work harder. You have to be ready. So, and I don't remember thinking that was it for me, that I wasn't going to try out again or anything like that. But that definitely gave me something new to hold on to, that I could keep working, that I could work harder. I would. Like I said, it's a high kick precision dance line. I'm not flexible by nature. So my legs, and I was like this thin when I was a freshman in high school. I was like 5'2", skinny as hell. And my kicks just sucked. That's why I didn't make it.
Why was it controversial then?
Well,
don't worry, we'll move on. You're just giving me too much good material.
The problem is I could talk about this forever is the problem. So the reason it was controversial is because midway through the year, I played volleyball as well. And so I was at practice, and the Highliners had practice in the gym right after we had practice. So I would stick around after practice and sort of hide in the corner because I didn't want to be a creepy stalker. But I just wanted to see, because I'm like, I am going to be on that team. I want to see what I'm going to be doing. So I was kind of like,
Suzanne with binoculars.
I know. I was kind of hiding in the corner, and the captain that year, Beth Lemke, oh my God, I can't believe I remember that name. Beth Lemke came up to me during their practice one time. I'm just sitting in the corner watching. She said, "Are you going to try out next year?" I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Don't worry, you're going to make it." And then I got a call from the coach as soon as Laura Kay, as soon as my volleyball season ended, I got a call from the coach, and she said, "Are you going to play basketball this year?" I said, "I don't think so," because I wasn't a very good basketball player. And she said, "Are you going to get a job?" And I'm like, "I don't think so." And she said, "Well, the captains and the seniors and I got together. We had a meeting. We decided we needed one more person, and that person should be you." I'm gonna cry. And
I got it on good authority that Suzanne is in the Highliner Hall of Fame.
I am in the Northfield High School Hall of Fame, Athletic Hall of Fame. Yes.
But you know how cool that is? Because I think that every human being on earth, and my theory is that's why we watch movies, that's why we read books, it's because we all want to believe that our dreams can come true, as cheesy as that sounds. And you right there at a young age showed yourself and showed all of us and everyone that actually, yes, dreams can come true. You want something badly enough, you work hard at it, and you just keep doing it and don't take no for an answer, and it comes true. And I think that's a big part of being American, that belief. That's the America that I remember when I used to live there, that you work really, really hard and don't take no for an answer, and dreams can come true. I miss that. I like that.
Yeah. I actually miss that too, because I've never wanted something as much as I wanted that. I was never so singularly focused as I was on that one thing. And when all of your dreams come true when you're 17, sort of, makes life sort of hard to move on from. But really quickly, the controversial part was that that had never happened before. Somebody had never been added to the line without trying out.
So of course you had people saying that there was favoritism.
Yeah. People, I found out just a few years ago that people said that my dad made it happen. My dad never, I did ask him, but my dad never would have done that. He would never have wanted me to get something because he asked for it and not because I earned it. But I found out that was like a common theory, because it was a really big deal. But that's
the thing. The bigger the deal it is, the more jealousy is going to come out. Anything that's beautiful and wonderful and fabulous, there's always somebody that wants to, take chips out of it.
It's fine. I ended up more than earning my place. Nobody questioned it by the next year.
I love that.
Because you have to try out for every single competition. You can't, you're not just on the team and then you perform every time. You have to try out for every single performance, even a basketball halftime game. You have to try out for it. You can't just automatically be added to the competition team. So I made every performance I had. Yeah.
I'm going to derail you again.
Yes, no, we can move on now.
So what form did when you get everything you ever wanted by the time you're 17, where did that leave you afterwards?
I was pretty lost for a while. I had to find a new dream, and I don't know that I have. I know that's going to sound crazy and kind of depressing, but
it's not, because I've heard your narration. Any one of us would kill to be able to do what you do. So there's nothing depressing about it. Might not be your dream, but you're smashing it.
Thank you. Well, I mean, there were, but there was just nothing, because I'm come from a small town. It was a small reasonably small goal. There's nothing that is going to be that thing that I can be that focused on, that is going to be that big a deal in my life. That's the thing that I've been kind of bummed about in my life, that there's just nothing that is that sort of focused. Like, I can say I want to be, you know, an Oscar winner, and sure, I can put all of my focus and effort into that. But there were, you know, 200 girls that tried out to be on the team that year. There are thousands of women trying to be an actor, and even being a successful actor. It's just a lot less of an attainable goal when you kind of look at it in the scope of big fish, small pond, teeny fish. Huge.
Also age, and I'm not saying old, young age. I'm saying when I think there's something pure about your first dream, because you completely 100% believe in it. And it's harder to have that intense of a dream when life's knocked you about for 95 years. You know what I mean? It's like, you still want to believe in things, you still work for them, but there's a book I never shut up about. I'm obsessed with 4,000 Weeks. It's amazing. I listened to the audiobook, and one day I'm going to listen to it again. Another narrator suggested it. And there's a thing called finitude, because we always have in our mind the end, and we relate everything to it. And that's how we see time, and that's how we relate to time. And it's never, it really, really strikes me, because that's the thing. Any dream you have now, even if you had complete focus, even if it was smaller and there were only 200 people after it, you're a different person.
Oh yeah,
you know,
definitely. I mean, there was nothing that I couldn't achieve when I was 7, you know.
And there's nothing you couldn't achieve now. It's just our brains don't believe it. There isn't. There's nothing. You could do the actress with 20,000 women. You know, I've lived in LA for years though, and that's the thing. LA, you leave your house and there's Jimmy the crack addict on the corner, and there's 7 Rolls Royces going by. So it gives you a different, dreams are a big business.
Yeah, that's true.
So you made the dream come true. How did you become a television reporter? So cool.
That was kind of my next goal. I went to Tufts University because I was going to major in international relations. It's not that interesting of why I just decided to change my major, but I then decided that I actually was at Tufts. I was in my dorm, and my dorm sort of bay little, you know, window seat looked out over the Tufts football practice field. And I would sit there every afternoon and watch them practice, because I love football. I thought I was going to play football. My brother laughed at me. That was a long time ago. I am so jealous of the girls who play football now. I can't even explain it to you, because I had my brother's football pads hanging up in my closet. And when it was time to go out for tryouts for football practice, I didn't realize that I was not welcome, because I thought I was going to play football.
Yeah, I know. I wanted to be a boxer.
Oh wow!
I've still got my gloves.
That is impressive.
Yeah, I've never got very far with it. I've only done it a few times. I did kickboxing and kung fu for a while, but that's
so impressive. I do not want to get hit in the face, so I'm never going to do that.
I love hitting. It's fun.
Oh God, that terrifies me. Anyway, so
sorry.
I want, no, please, we can have a conversation. This doesn't have to be me. So I would watch football practice every day, and I realized, you know what, I love football. I want to do something that puts me in sports. And, you know, what better for me, you know, being a performer, to be on camera and be in sports. So I transferred to the University of Minnesota School of Journalism. You had to apply to School of Journalism. I got there. I ended up, you know, focusing on broadcast journalism, and was a sports reporter for the TV show there, which was piddly, and for the Minnesota Daily, the newspaper. I ended up winning an award, which felt very much like that was, you know, kind of similar to, in fact, I remember thinking when I got the call that I won this Northwest Broadcast News Award for a package I did when I was a student. I remember thinking, okay, this is my new thing. This is my new state championship. But then I started working in sports offices, and it wasn't as fun as I thought, because women at the time were incredibly sparse in the sports.
And Jim Siebert said that it wasn't a pleasant place for women to work in radio at the time even.
It's overall, it's a very aggressive, any newsroom is very aggressive there, and at least back then, all the news directors were total bullies. Like I would cry like once a week when I went into work. I am kind of a crier, so I'm a bit of a wuss that way, but so it's not like I was like so tough and they made me cry. But it was really not fun. And I started not liking sports as much. So I started working in PR in Minnesota for a while. And that wasn't as fun as I thought it was going to be. So then I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out to LA. I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm going to get back into sports behind the camera if I have to. And I moved out to LA.
Did you know anyone when you moved to LA?
I knew one person.
How old were you when you moved? That's the same as me. I knew one person when I moved there. How old were you when you moved there?
I was 30.
Wow, that's brave. That's brave. Because I moved there when I was 18, so I was still kind of stupid. So you know what I mean? So I didn't kind of know what was ahead of me. But
well, I always knew that I was going to leave Minnesota no matter what. I just ended up getting stuck there a little longer than I planned. So it was either going to be New York or LA. I always knew that I was going to move to one.
Did it feel magical when you got there? I remember it felt magical to me when I got there.
Well, I'd spent a decent amount of time here growing up because my mom's best friend lived out here. So I don't know that it felt magical. It just felt crowded.
Okay, so it was just
and confusing because it was, you know, figuring out the freeways and the 10 is the Santa Monica freeway, so it's both. So you get directions and you're supposed to take the Santa Monica freeway. Which freaking one is the Santa Monica freeway? Because I don't see the Santa Monica freeway anywhere on these signs. And so that was when we had Thomas guides, and that was fun. All my auditions, you had to they gave you the segment of the Thomas guide that you had to look up, and then you had to figure out the directions from them.
Oh wow. See, that's I think maybe because I was so young when I moved to LA, I think maybe it's what you said about your goal with the dancing and everything when you were, you know, young. When you do things when you're that young, it's more intense. It was like the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen. I used to look at the sun. People thought I was a nutcase. It was like, because of the smog, it's got the most beautiful sunsets.
Well, I don't know. I had traveled quite a bit when I was younger. So for me, it wasn't like this magical new place. It was just a place that I wanted to be because I knew there was more opportunity. And of course, the weather was pretty great, but compared to Minnesota, especially.
And were you full out trying to be an actress when you got there?
Not when I first moved here. I thought I was too old. So I thought my destiny was to be behind the camera at the time.
Can I just say 30, isn't it sad?
Yeah.
Isn't it sad that at 30 years old, you think you're too old? Somebody posted on Facebook the other day, and then I put a big rant on and I took it off because I just thought, I don't have time for rants anymore. But they said, what do you plan on doing when you age out of narration for the women? And I'm like, okay, why is it for the women? And why is there a thing of aging out of narration? Because even for actors, I get that we're all being judged on our bodies, right? But there are old people in the world. So are we saying we don't want to see them on TV? So we're going to just pretend they don't exist? And at what point, old is always 10 years older than you happen to be right now.
Right.
So if you don't want to see anybody older than 10 years, that 10 years is going to go really fast.
Yeah.
And you're an actor. Hello. Yeah. I spit when I hear that. And LA is very much like that. LA, I mean, aside from giving me an eating disorder, LA is like, you're very aware of yourself as a commodity.
Yeah.
Did you find that hard? Did you find that hard?
I didn't at the time. I guess I didn't think of myself as super old at the time. I definitely though thought that I was too old to re-enter, because I honestly thought I'd been away from sports television for too long. I just thought any momentum I might have had was gone. Therefore, it was too late for me to start over. It wasn't, but I definitely took a different path than I would have otherwise. Yeah.
So what did you do? What did you do?
Well, so I got here in 2000, and 2000 and 2001 was the advent of the reality show and Survivor and the Amazing Race and The Bachelor. And at the time I had just started auditioning, and I ended up getting on every casting director's radar for reality shows. And actually during 9/11, I was sequestered in Marina Del Rey because I was in the finals to be with my oldest friend, the one person I knew out here, to be on The Amazing Race. And then she broke her wrist, so we couldn't do it. But which would have been a blast, and I wish I'd stuck out and held out for them to cast me in it again, because they were going to, but then I made the mistake of going on The Bachelor. So
see, I'm not familiar with The Bachelor. Is that like one guy and a whole bunch of women, or?
I know, it's disgusting.
Wow.
I know. Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's one guy, 25 women. I don't know what it's like now. I cannot believe it's still going now.
Is it real?
So I don't know if it's 25 girls or more girls.
But, I mean, it's acting, right?
No, it's not. Definitely not. I was in season 2. I have no idea what they're doing nowadays. Okay. But no, I mean, at least, no, it's definitely not acting, and it's definitely not made up. The storylines are not made up. Nothing's made up. They try to manipulate you, the producers, into doing something more dramatic or doing something you might not normally do.
So
but nothing was fake. I mean,
so were you in with the possibility of ending up with this guy, whoever he was?
Fuck no. The reason I was convinced by another friend of mine to do the show at all, I was absolutely opposed to it. I was totally stuck on it, and it's Julia Whalen's fault. I will always blame her because she was on a show called Once and Again, which was one of my favorite shows at the time. And The Bachelor was on right before it. So one of the episodes I tuned in 10 minutes early because it was pre-DVR and I couldn't record it. So I tuned in 10 minutes early so I didn't miss the beginning of Once and Again. And the last 10 minutes of the first episode of The Bachelor were on. And I was like, oh, this is disgusting. And I'm like, oh no, crap. I have to watch this. It was like a deer in headlights. I can't stop watching. And so I started watching, and then I was like, okay, I know people are going to ask me to try out for this. And I kind of, this is going to sound really cocky, but I kind of knew that they would choose me if I did. I know this sounds really weird. I don't know why I had that confidence.
But no, but okay, this is the thing. It's the same thing as like, oh, I'm 30.
Yeah.
Literally, why do we do that to ourselves? I was apologizing the other day to someone for like, I get a whole bunch of emails like from people wanting help from things. And I was apologizing. Oh, I'm not saying that I'm any more. Why am I not saying it? You've worked damn hard. You're an amazing narrator and you're stunning. Most women would kill to look like you now. So God only knows what you look like then. And there's nothing wrong with that. Do you know what I mean? Well, right. You should enjoy it, milk it, brag.
No, it's fine. I'm just surprised that I was that confident, because it was the highest rated season of The Bachelor ever, and thousands of women tried out. And I don't know why I was sitting there like
dad.
All cocky, like
your mom and dad.
Well, excuse me. Maybe
your mom and dad. So they get the credit. That's why you've got the confidence.
They get the credit for everything. They get the credit. So I didn't want to do it, but then my friend said, but what if you get to the end and say no? And I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. So she's like, even if you send in, your audition and, you get midway through, you don't have to keep going. You can just do it until you get bored.
So did you end up kissing the guy?
True. Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
So we have never seen the show. I'm so going to try to find it.
No, you can't find it. That's the best part. It's free YouTube. I have not looked recently, but for some reason, I've had a conversation about The Bachelor a couple times in the last month, which I cannot even tell you the last time I talked about it. And in the middle of the conversation, somebody who was also nearby was like looking it up, and they're like, yeah, I can't find it anywhere.
I think it's kind of cool. It's like a cultural moment, and you were there at the beginning. It wouldn't be cool doing it now, but it was kind of cool if you were there for the first few.
It was all right. It was, I had my 15 minutes. It was fun. There were moments that were fun. The girls actually still from my season still do reunion trips together.
Did people want your autograph after the show and everything, like strangers?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, people like, I would be walking down the street in Manhattan Beach, and people would like screech their cars over to the side of the road and be like, are you Suzanne from The Bachelor? It was wild.
That's got to be, I did have two girls, two from another country came running up to me asking for my autograph, but only because they thought I was someone else on a soap opera, because they were in LA and obviously tourists. They just obviously gotten off the plane. They thought I was someone else. I signed.
That's awesome. That's right.
But it was a kind of a buzz. I know we all joke about celebrity like it's nothing and it's stupid and it's shallow and it's not. In LA, it's not cool to, even admit you are a celebrity.
No.
Very
Yeah,
uncool. But
no.
everyone in the world gets a tiny bit of tingle if they think there's a little bit of celebrity there.
Yeah,
we were all kids in school. We got our 5 minutes on the news when the firemen came to show us the truck.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
That's true. Oh God, yeah. My mom was in the audience for Donahue. Do you remember Donahue? We took the day off of school because my mom was in the audience and we might see her on camera.
Right, because it's exciting. You tune in if someone in the family's on TV. I don't care.
Yeah.
People won't admit it because it's uncool.
Yeah.
But okay, so you're in LA. You're on The Bachelor.
Right. But that actually led to me going, okay, maybe I'm not too old to be back on camera. So I started doing more hosting. So like, hosting is a whole different thing from reporting. Like, Ryan Seacrest is a host, and so it's basically a reporter, but for more entertainment-y stuff. So I started hosting. I got a sports agent. I mean, it's kind of skipping a few things because it's not that interesting. But then I got a job on the Game Show Network as a host of a poker show. I know nothing about poker. I cannot play poker, but they liked my on-camera presence and they liked the way I interviewed. And so they hired me for this poker show. And from that, somebody recognized me at my gym and they suggested I go to this poker game at a casting director's house. Up here, actually, the house, I don't know that I should say her name, but she's a huge voice actress. It was a casting director was there, but it was this voice actress's house.
Oh, don't
and
say
her
the
husband.
Name, just so that
that way we just can, in case.
Yeah.
Just in case. But I'm not going to. But it was at her house, and there were all sorts of entertainment people there. One of the people was a casting director. She asked me to try out to audition for a show, a CBS sitcom. I knew nothing about it. I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never fully auditioned for an acting role before, but I got it. And so that was my first actual on-camera acting job, was for a CBS sitcom with Jenna Elfman. And then the dude who played Lord Grantham in
what was it called? Can we find
Courting
that?
Alex. It was canceled halfway through the first season, but fortunately my episode aired. Huh, phew. And you can find my awful performance on my website in my acting demo. It was truly bad. It was truly bad. And then and so then I started doing more acting and started doing more of that kind of thing.
So how long have you been in LA now?
So I've been in LA for 21 years.
No, but not now, but like at the point that we're at in that.
Sorry. At that point, I would have to look it up because Bachelor happened in 2002. So I'd been in LA for 2 years. I think Courting Alex was 2005, 2006, 2007-ish.
Okay,
maybe.
So it's still the exciting, just moved to LA. You're not so much a native yet. You're like making friends, networking, getting the jobs.
Right.
And
and then I finally moved up to Santa Monica because I was in Redondo Beach when I first got out here. So I kind of didn't know anything about anything. So when I finally moved to Santa Monica, I was a lot more kind of in the thick of things. And then I got a job on Californication, playing a transvestite. I auditioned for a different, but this is actually funny. I auditioned for a different part, like a shop girl. And the casting director, Felicia Faisano, I can't remember her full name. I think it was something like that. Fasano. She thought I was hysterical, which I was like, I remember hearing from some other person before I had really started doing auditions for on-camera roles that if you got them to laugh, it was like a big deal. And I got them to laugh, and I'm like, I walked out of there. I'm like, I don't care if I get the job. I made the casting director laugh. I feel like I won today. I succeeded. And I got a call from my agent like the next week, and he said, so the casting director from Californication wants you to call her. And I was like, okay. And I go, why? And he goes, I have no idea. She just wants you to call her. And so I call the casting director, and she goes, okay, I don't want you to take this the wrong way because we think you're beautiful, but we want you to play a transvestite on the show. And I'm like, actually, I don't take that the wrong way.
Like, give me the
all.
job.
Well, no,
but the thing is, they say in auditions, and it's true with audiobooks as well, that was exactly what you were supposed to do. You're not supposed to go in there wanting to get the job.
Right.
You're supposed to go in there wanting to make an impression on the casting director.
Yeah, book
it's
the
not
room.
That job.
Yeah. But I had always been like, I have strong features. And so I had always been considered like androgynous looking. And when I was little, I got a Dorothy Hamill haircut, and I went to department stores. They kept telling me where the men's section was, the boys section. People who were in, because there was pre-social media when I was on The Bachelor, but on the comment boards, on the message boards, there were people saying that I was a transvestite at the time. They thought because I was taller than all the other girls. I tend to be more muscular than the other girls. And everybody thought I was man. And so I was like totally used to people thinking I look masculine.
And plus, who are we kidding? Half those transvestites I would kill to look like.
I know, right? So when she said, please don't take offense to this, I'm like, I don't. I'm like one of the only people that would be totally fine with this, because I know I look masculine. I am good. So yeah, that was a funny story. So yeah, I ended up playing in transvestite.
Okay, so I'm going to first, I'm going to also put in a little reminder that I forgot to tell people at the beginning of the call. At the very end of the call, after we do our time box, which you all know what that is, Suzanne doesn't, I won't spoil the surprise. Don't forget your questions. They have to be quirky. I don't want anything boring. If you think you can look it up on like Google, like, I don't want to know, but like,
I have a couple quirky answers.
Quirky questions. They had some great ones for Johnny and Joanna, I think was,
cool.
Hero would you be? What's your favorite chocolate or candy? And
neat. Oh, I love that kind of thing.
Yes.
But really quickly, in between narrating, in between those acting jobs and narrating, I actually ended up being a fitness model. But I think that is the biggest. I thought I was too old to be on camera when I was 30. My first job as a fitness model was when I was 38.
I have a question for you about this.
Yeah.
How did you how did you deal with your self-esteem as a human being? Because you're obviously confident that you're intelligent and you know that you can get things done, and the fact that all the jobs you're doing and LA itself are judging you on appearance and what you look like. How did you come to peace with, I'm not my appearance? Or did you have to remind yourself, or did you just have such a strong core that you're like, I don't care what the industry, because the industry, I'm not saying they think it just about you, they think about everyone, every woman I know, that you run into this, my value is my talent. How do you separate your value being your talent and your looks?
I don't know that I did very well. I was just excited to get anybody, honestly, okay, this is going to sound horrible. I think it's going to sound understandable and relatable, but it's going to be horrible. When I was little, because I was the sister and my brothers were older, and they, were like chasing after girls and talking about how pretty girls were. I just wanted them to think I was pretty. I wanted all of my brother's friends to think I was pretty. I wanted to be strong. I wanted to be stronger than all the boys, but I also wanted to be pretty enough that they would pay attention to me. And
that doesn't sound horrible at all. Do you know how many women out there? We used to walk up and down the street, go to the grocery store to see if we could get dirty old men to scream out their windows at us. We're like 15 years old. I mean, let's just put it out there. That's the way society raises us.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it's unfortunate. I know. Yeah. I could go on a whole tangent there, but the point is that the fact that I was getting hired because of my looks, it just made my 7-year-old, 10-year-old, 14-year-old self. Yes. Like, okay, if I had been able to know this then, what I would have given to know that I would be pretty enough where somebody would hire me to be in a magazine or on a TV show or whatever. So I don't know that I really needed to separate it so much as just being so freaking happy that I kind of finally got to where I hoped I would be. Granted that, it still plays into your head a lot, because now that I'm, actually aging, my mom is very young looking. I've always been looked younger than I am. pretty sure I do still, I don't know, so I kind of, it took me a while to start truly aging and seeing the differences that people were talking about, like, 10, 15 years before, like my contemporaries. Now that is rough. It's tough to take. And especially like, my ass doesn't look as good in a bikini as it did back then, and all that kind of thing. And, but I just have to sort of be okay with it. And my boyfriend thinks I'm beautiful, so that really helps.
But think about it, because I told Suzanne, you guys, I've said this on every call, that 1 minute where we got like 25,000 viewers and I ran off to get Botox on this one line so fast it wasn't even funny. And because I don't think anyone's immune, but I'm kind of, and I thought, oh my God, I've spent my whole life trying to be skinny. And now, even if I get as skinny as I want to be, I get skinny, get fat, get skinny, get fat.
Yeah.
Even if I get that skinny, now I'll be old.
Right?
The thing is,
right? I know.
I'm going to rock being old. I'm going to like look outrageous like Iris Apfel. I'm going to look like so hot and so outrageous when I'm like 90. That's my plan. Because, because
and
you
in
don't
10
want
years.
10, 20, you don't want to, you've built a career, you've got talent and everything, and none of that's going to go away. You know, and I mean, you'll always be beautiful, probably even when you are old. But if anything happened, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But in 10 years, I'm going to think that I am really young right now. That's the thing that's just so messed up, is you never realize sort of how good you have it until like 5-10 years later.
Yeah, exactly.
But so I mean, I don't know that I necessarily answered your question, but I really enjoyed, the time that I had, and the fact that I was as old as I was when I started getting, requests to put bikinis on. That was pretty cool.
Actually,
and
you're right. That probably protected you from ending up like screwed up about it, because you've got like a good head on you. And you're right, you are really young, but I admire that. And I hope you don't mind me being candid about it. But it's like, you look at somebody that is beautiful, that is stunning, that gets to do things. Obviously, their looks don't hurt them, right? And everyone tries to pretend like that's not happening. Like, oh, well, I'm not going to mention they're gorgeous. But the thing is, they are, but that's nothing to do with who they are as a human being, obviously. But I'm amazed, because I lived in LA, and LA can make you feel very, very, very small if you're having like a bad hair day.
Right. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
I guess, what's funny?
Yeah.
I think this is relevant to the conversation. So when I was in my 20s, the girl who lived out here, who was my oldest friend, who I was in the finals for Amazing Race with, she and I were best friends from the time we were 4 years old. We met in preschool until I mean, mid-30s. And we're still friends, just not as close. But we used to go out in Minneapolis. We lived in Minneapolis together for a while, and we used to go out in Minneapolis all the time. I did not get a single head turned the entire time. She got all the attention. Nobody ever remembered me. I would tell people, oh, I'm so-and-so's friend, and be like, oh yeah, I kind of remember you.
Oh my God, rude.
Right. No, it happened for years. And I was always just basically the sidekick for the longest time. And something happened, I think probably when she moved away, and I started getting attention. And everything just sort of clicked for me. My entire bearing, all of my confidence, everything shifted. And I started feeling so much better about myself. And I would walk into the room like I owned it, because I felt like I did. Suddenly I wasn't her shadow, and I was my own person, and I was getting attention from being me and not just her friend. And everything shifted then. And like me thinking that I was going to,
that smashed the highliners came out.
Yeah. So really, really changed. So in terms of like my confidence and like feeling okay with who I am, and being in LA and maybe feeling like I'm overwhelmed by all the hot women here, I never feel like I'm less than when I walk into a room here. I always feel like, okay, I got this. Maybe somebody else is beautiful, and maybe somebody else looks hotter, or maybe somebody else is thinner than me tonight. But I know I'm
gorgeous to go around.
Right. I know I got what I got, and I'm cool. I just thought of that, because I don't know that I really put that together until right this second, that part of me being in LA and being okay with like my looks and getting older and all of that. I think a lot of that has to do with that kind of shift that happened when I was in my 20s.
And that's a massive strength. That minute, I think, when you get to being, I'm okay with this.
Yeah.
That's strong. And also, you know those people, right? That people just flock to, and they've got that je ne sais quoi, and that's what that je ne sais quoi is. It's that like everyone wants to be that person. So I want to talk about, how the hell did you learn to narrate like that? I mean, you didn't start off that good. How much coaching did you have to have?
I don't know that I do not know that I agree with your statement, but I'm going to go along with it. Because I don't think I'm that good, but
you don't get hired for 250 plus books if I'm the only one saying it. It's, you know what I mean? You're obviously excellent.
Thank you.
To have done as much as you've done, but you're really, really good.
Thank you.
So coaching?
Well, I I haven't had as much coaching as I should. Excuse me. I did do a Paul Rubin thing. I have done, like seminars, like group seminars. I have never done actual one-on-one coaching. The only one-on-one coaching I have had, and forgive me, I know we are not going to be talking about this extensively, but my boyfriend is Scott Brick, and the only one-on-one coaching that I would say I have is he directed me in a book.
Yeah, and I'm totally happy. And you do know that I'm a total fangirl of Scott. So it's not like, oh, let's not talk about Scott, but it's just that.
No, I know.
It's a Suzanne call.
But I also can't ignore the influence he's had on me and on my narration and on me as a person.
Yeah, I mean, I had one phone call with Scott Brick, and I was like raving about it for like 3 months. I was like, God, I get why this guy's like, people were literally sending me messages crying about the guy after the call. Like, he changed their life in one call.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's a powerful influence. You guys, just a little back story here. Before the call, I said to Suzanne, I have a couple of other friends in the industry that are dating people that are well known in the industry. And so many times I've noticed the first question when I bring up her name, not just you, but it has happened, is ask them about their boyfriend or their partner or their husband. And it's like, I want to ask them about them first, right? Because I think it's really, really important that if like if I married Joe Biden, I mean, he's already taken, obviously, I'm still me doing things, you know what I mean? Yeah. But you don't want to be engulfed by that. So that was the background, guys. So go ahead. So you're influenced by Scott. Obviously, you're like the most glamorous couple on earth.
That's cool. That's good to think. So yeah, he and this was very recent. This was just this past year. He had never directed a book before, and I was flipping out because I had a very big book for Harper several years ago that I didn't know. I mean, it's a lesson for everyone. I didn't know it was going to be as big as it was. I did not take it probably as seriously as I should have. I did not do very well on it. I was trying to be somebody else while I was narrating it. I was trying to sound like somebody else, and it ended up exploding. And I am been ripped apart in the reviews like crazy, and I think I deserved it. And I got another book from this author, which was shocking. Totally shocking that I got another book from her. And anyway, so I was saying to Scott, okay, can you make me a better narrator by like Thursday? And because I was just flipping out, and he was like, okay, well, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to, what do you want to focus on? And I'm like, I don't know, just everything. And he said, okay, I kind of have a light week. Do you want me to direct you? And I'm like, I don't know if you're expecting me to say no, but yes, I do. And he directed me every single second of the book. I have never learned more. I've definitely never narrated better. And
it makes being directed. I've never been directed by Scott Brick, but being directed in itself is, being directed is also scared huge. Of it. And there's nothing to be scared of. It's so empowering.
But I feel like even when I have a director, I'm rarely directed. It's rare that a director, even at PRH, will stop me and say, okay, do you want to maybe, I feel like that wasn't quite where we want to go. Maybe up the stakes a little bit here, maybe whatever it is. I feel like I rarely get that kind of feedback from a director. Yeah.
Yeah, see, I've had it, but Scott wouldn't be afraid to do it.
No.
Yeah.
And I encouraged him to. And he said, I think you're going to get sick of me doing this eventually. I said, absolutely not. Like, if you're stopping me, it's because you think I need to be stopped and need adjustment for some reason. Like, I have no problem you stopping me. It was the best working experience, period, that I've ever had. It was the best narrating experience I've ever had. I learned more from that than I've learned from anything else. Just by him saying, like, a few things would happen over and over and be like, okay, this is another instance where you can kind of up the stakes. Like what you were doing, like that was like a 5, make it a 9. And being given permission to do things, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes you feel like I can't go this far because it's going to feel like it's too far. It's going to be over the top.
Yeah.
It's going to be whatever.
It's like a safe, I
right.
think Nicole Zanzarella, she did that. She hired people she trusted for a little while when she was going through like a, what am I doing? And they listened to her. And it's like a safe space so that you can be yourself and try your hardest.
And that's true too. I mean, when it's somebody that you trust and then they're never going to do anything to make you feel bad. And if you do feel bad, it's not because they intended to do that.
Yeah.
So the only time I would ever be like, wasn't because he was interrupting me or adjusting something. It was because I felt like, I just wish I was getting this and you didn't have to stop me.
Yeah.
I wish I was getting it like more instinctively. So, and he'll say, and we've talked about it a lot, he'll say, I was doing really, really well. He just sort of amped up certain things and that my instincts were perfectly good on their own. He just helped me hone them. And it was really lovely. And I learned so much, but that was recent. So I guess the biggest thing for me is listening to a shit ton of audiobooks. I just listen so much and I try to glean as much as I can from them. And I try to listen to the best narrators I can find, but it also in genres that I enjoy.
So we did have a question. It wasn't a quirky question, but it was quite a good one. How did we get from transvestites to audiobooks? And I wanted to know. Yeah. But that was a very good leap. I think we did it very subtly. I'm going to throw a question at you that I throw at everyone. In school, we never got to do this, so I make everyone do it on these calls. They bury a lockbox of like things. I can't remember the name. A time capsule. Right. Of like somebody's going to dig it up in like 30, 40 years and see what's in it. Like, so if you had to put in your time capsule for our YouTube watchers to see in 60 years, what would you put in there?
My entire life?
No, final words of wisdom. What would you like to leave people with? What advice would you give them? Even a funny joke? Would you like people to remember you by in 60 years? I know everyone hates this one.
That's like it's so hard because if I'm given the entire world of information to choose from, it's really much harder. Like if you said, tell me something right now, just tell me anything about I would just be sitting there going, I don't know. Like, just pick a subject that I can narrow it down to.
Okay, I'll make it easier for you.
Yeah.
What lesson do you wish you could go back and tell your 20-year-old self?
I think about this all the time.
Good.
Just don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of taking chances. Don't be afraid of making the effort. Don't be afraid of trying to grasp onto the opportunity in front of you, even if you have to make it yourself. Don't be afraid of looking like an idiot. Don't be afraid of failing. Don't be afraid of looking stupid.
So so one of the comments was, I have goosebumps. So that's a good one for the time capsule, I'm pretty sure. So any quirky questions, guys, throw them at us before we run out of time. But I
can tell you a quirky thing.
Oh yeah, tell me a quirky thing.
I was born with 6 fingers in each hand.
Wait, seriously? Can I see?
Yeah. So they were cut off the day after I was born.
Oh, okay.
Or like 10, the story changes about when they were cut off, but it was within a day after I was born. It's not actually all that uncommon. And it was like a little pinky finger sticking out from my pinky finger. It's called Polydactyly. And so this one was cut off a lot better. This one still has a little bump. Let's see.
Why do they cut them off? I guess.
They're not going to be, it's vestigial. It would not have functioned. It would have been disgusting. I have met a person who still has theirs. It is really gross.
Oh, okay.
Really, really, really gross. So yes, so I have little bumps there, and I rub it all the time because there's a lot of nerve endings right there. So my doctor, when I was a kid, offered to kind of take the rest off for me, but I was so afraid because it kind of hurts a lot. And if I scrape it at all, it's just like, oh, it's just the worst pain. So I was at the time, I was just like, no, I don't want you to like take a knife to it. Now I kind of wish I'd done it.
That's kind of cool though. I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah. I think it's cool. It's interesting. It's different.
Yeah, I don't think I would want him to cut it off either, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You want to keep some of your like I wanted rid of that line with Botox.
Yeah.
But she was like, well, I can give you Botox here.
Yeah.
And she's like, you just can't whistle. I'm like, I have a bird. I like whistling. Yeah. I was you got to keep some quirks.
This is all Botox right here. So I feel you.
Yeah, I'm getting more. I love this stuff.
Right.
Okay. This has been fabulous call. Thank you so much. I can't thank you enough. You're such a lovely guest, and I've learned so much, and I'm so excited. And I'm so gonna go and look up reality shows now and see if I can find it.
I know you can't find it. I've got the only copy on VHS.
Do you think who ended up with him?
This girl Helene, and he broke up with her a month after the finale at a Starbucks as he was leaving for the airport, and said he never loved her.
Wow. So he was literally just doing it for the money.
I mean, I don't think we really didn't get very much money. If I didn't get any money, I don't think he got much of any money. I don't think he was doing it for the money. It's just an unrealistic expectation that people are truly going to fall in love and get married for this stupid thing. But there was at the time, there was a Where Are They Now episode, and I called him a slut because he was just hooking up with so many girls on camera. And we did do a reunion trip in Vegas with the cast from the first season of The Bachelorette. And she came up to me and she's like, thank you for saying that on camera. And she's like, because by then she was just like, fuck him. And so I was just like, you are welcome. And he was a slut.
Did you make any friends that you kept from that show?
Yeah, I mean, I went to a couple girls' weddings. I'm not really in touch with anybody directly now, but we definitely, a lot of us stayed in touch. I'm still part of a group chat on Facebook for all the girls. I've muted it because sometimes, especially when you're narrating and conversations happening fast and furious, you're just like, I can't pay attention to this. So I don't really pay very close attention to the conversation. But yeah, we're still in touch.
Well, Suzanne, do you like your whole name is it always Suzanne Elise Freeman?
I added Elise, well, it's my middle name, but I added it to my professional name because there is a Christian author called Suzanne Freeman, and I did not want to be mixed up with her. So I am Suzanne Freeman, I am Susie Freeman, I am Suzanne Elise Freeman, whatever you want to call me. Just not Sue, because ew, and Susan, because that's not me.
Well, Suzanne Freeman, I just got to say, you do have it. I mean, you do really, I think what you inherited from your parents, that pragmatism and that hard work ethic, and that's the pillar. So there's nothing can knock you off. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Stay gorgeous and have fun, but you've got it. You've got it. That's brilliant. And keep narrating for us because it's amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing. Do you ever coach? Are you ever going to coach?
Oh gosh, no. I do not feel like I have the qualifications to coach, and I can give feedback, but I could not possibly coach. I don't think I would be the right person to do that.
Well, you are part of our power couple. I mean, there's nobody that doesn't love Scott Brick, but we love you as yourself as well.
Thank you. It's very kind.
Thank you very much, and we will catch you on the webcast.
Thank you. Absolutely. I'm also going to be hosting we're also going to be doing an on-camera live stream for the Audie's watch parties. Oh, cool. So I will be hosting that as well.
Gorgeous dress and everything.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, you know, as long as Omicron doesn't mess with our lives like Delta did, and hopefully it'll still happen. But yes,
Yes.
so we'll have a lot of fun.
We have to expect a happy ending with that one.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. I'm thinking about that a lot because we've kind of all been hit with bad news. So now we're all like, oh God, here we go again. Nope, we should expect a happy ending.
I hope so. Yeah.
Okay. Take care. Bye, Suzanne. Bye, everyone. Thank you for joining, you guys. Mwah! Bye, bye, bye.